Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. And I want to start off this video by saying thank you very, very much for the great support in the last video. This channel has not seen that many views in literally years. It's been probably over 2 years since we've been able to get that kind of those amount of views on the channel. So I'd like to say thank you to everybody that came and watched the video, and at the same time, thank you to everybody that has been supporting the video, that follows me on Twitter, or that has been doing retweets and things like that. It's very much appreciated and very, very humbling. I was quite frankly blown away. But that's not what this video is about. This video is kind of a different take. We're going to take kind of a different take and a different approach to what some of the other content creators have been doing, and I'm going to get into that in just a second. So, all right, so as you guys know, Halo Fire 343 and Halo Infinite and 343i has pretty much been trending over the last 3 or 4 days, right? Up on Twitter and some social media or whatnot, but mostly on Twitter because that's the only other form of social media that I use other than YouTube. Content creators left and right have been making videos about this with their takes, what they think, and all that kind of stuff. But the reality of the situation is that we, the content creators, are not the majority. Like it or not, we are the minority. Now, granted, the different videos that I've seen on the different content creators, the one thing I can say is that we're all pretty much disappointed. However, all sorts of different content creators have been having different takes on this, and some of them actually think that it actually would be more logical to let 343 stay on, and other people think that 343 needs to go. Now, the big thing is that the comments section is where the majority of the people, or we can say that there's a better sample size, right, from the comment section on people's videos. Because ultimately, even though some of them may be content creators, a majority of them are probably not, and they are members of the community. Now, as far as this channel is concerned, there are a good amount of you guys that are casual, there are a good amount of you guys that are competitive players, and there are a good amount of you guys that are in between. I think it's safe to say that the majority of you guys are probably in the casual category, right? Granted, there's a few things that you're more competitive and passionate about, but at the end of the day, it's a safer bet to assume that most of you guys are more towards the casual, right? Somewhere between casual, maybe slightly above casual or whatnot, that take gaming seriously. It's your pastime. But at the end of the day, with a game like Halo, right? In the 343 interview that they released when they released the new roadmap, right? The quote unquote roadmap. One of the guys was like, the gentleman with the glasses was like, go back to Halo CE. It's a competitive. Halo's a competitive game. Well, I don't fully agree with that because actually Halo was a party game, right? It was designed to be a lighter, softer version of what a competitive first-person shooter on PC was. And one of the reasons why, there's 2 reasons why why Halo itself was able to succeed when it did. Number one, it was the first game to do what it did on console to that extent, okay? And number 2, it managed to take all the fun aspects of what a competitive multiplayer shooter was from PC, dumb it down, make it lighter, turn it into a party game that could be competitive with some changes, additions, and omissions here and there, and while uniting people and making it fun and making it addictive and having them come back to play. As I mentioned in the previous video, I started playing Halo when I was 18 years old. After I graduated high school, went to my friend's house. He had bought an Xbox. I didn't have one yet. I had a GameCube at the time. That was the console that I chose to get at the time. And I also think that GameCube was slightly cheaper than the Xbox. I think the Xbox was more expensive. But anyway, he had got an Xbox sometime after high school. We all joined the workforce, right? So he ended up having a lot more money, and basically he bought an Xbox, and we played it. We took turns, we passed the controller on, and then we played a lot of split-screen co-op. And that was our introduction to Halo. And the next thing you know, we all had Xboxes. Sometime down the line, I had mine about 3 weeks later, and we basically went over to his house. We system linked the consoles and the TVs together. We had like access to like 4 or 5 TVs in the little family room or living room or whatever it was. we linked our systems together. One of the bigger screens was co-op for 2 people for split screen, and then all the other screens were for themselves. So yeah, that's basically the way it happened, and everything was very much a party game. We didn't play competitive settings and stuff like that, right? I don't even think any of us knew about the competitive scene at the time. And as a matter of fact, I don't think the competitive scene took place until Halo 2. Halo 2 was the game that started the whole competitive scene. And again, it wasn't what the core Halo experience was, right? There, you had to eliminate certain weapons or whatnot that were not competitive. You had to play on certain maps that were more competitive and stuff like that. So that's what turns a casual game into a competitive game. Call of Duty does this, Halo does this, and I'm sure there are other games that do this to a more minimal or maximal effect, right? Some of them just change the maps but keep everything else and yada, yada, yada. And at the same time, there are other people out there that have the opinion that if you truly want a game to be competitive, you shouldn't change anything at all. Play the game the way it's meant to be played, and that's competitive. And I understand that viewpoint, but I don't fully agree with it. But I will give my nod of respect to that opinion because, number one, I value people's opinions, and number two, I see where that train of thought comes from, but I just don't fully agree with it. So simply put, one of the reasons why I don't fully agree with it is because you shouldn't be guaranteed an easy kill as soon as you pick up a weapon or whatnot. I mean, I would even go as far as to say that, you know, rocket launchers are kind of cheesy in Halo or whatnot, but you're only limited to 2. But again, they don't spawn very often like the Mangler does, just to give an example. So there's kind of like a sort of balance here and there. And at the same time, you gotta, I don't know, I guess you at least have to have that one type of weapon that is that, oh, look out, they've got this, right? So So yeah, it's a give and take. So this is why I mentioned the rocket launcher, because it goes with that viewpoint to where, you know, should it be in the game, should it not be in the game, yada yada yada. But anyway, going back to what I was saying here, Halo's origins were not in the competitive nature, so to speak, but in terms of 2022 and where we are today, it is very important for competitive gaming to continue to thrive. And at the same time, even when you look back at Halo 5's multiplayer, it was very successful from a multiplayer standpoint because they had a pro team that worked on it. And as a matter of fact, when you go back and look at the development videos that are called sprints in Halo 5, and there's a ton of episodes, there's like 3 seasons of it, and there's a ton of episodes, you will actually see that 343 themselves are actually a very, very competent and very, very talented game developer, right? Now, granted, the funny thing is, I don't think a lot of those developers that worked at 343 at the time in Seattle, I don't think those guys are with the company anymore. Like, for instance, one of the gentlemen that I recognized, he is basically working on Dr. Disrespect's game, right? He used to be with 343 at one point until Halo 5, or even after Halo 5, and then went and worked on Dr. Disrespect's game or whatever it was. So, so basically the development team, the people that you hire, are the ones that ultimately make the game. It's not about the name of the development team, right? It's the people that are developing the game themselves. Would Sony Santa Monica, for instance, the guys that are developing God of War, would they be the same developers if all of a sudden 75% of their team excuse me, if 75% of their team were no longer working on the game, and and then all of a sudden they brought on a bunch of complete newbies that had never made a God of War game before, and yada yada yada, what do you think the result of that is going to be? And now, granted, passion I think is important. It's important to be passionate and stuff like that. I think it's an essential element. However, just because you're passionate about something doesn't necessarily mean that you are ready or qualified to develop a game or to lead it, right? You know, you could be passionate about basketball or baseball, but does that mean because of your level of passion for the game that you should be a professional player or that you're ready to become a professional player? Absolutely not. So, so basically, here is what I am going to be doing with this commentary. I am putting everything in your hands. Now, granted, with every single commentary, I'm always talking to you guys, right? Because you guys are the ones listening. But I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach in terms of how I'm going to do this. So, with hashtag Fire343 being a thing, with the comment section having their opinions, content creators having their opinions, and everybody just overall having their opinions, here is the way, this is what I'm going to ask you guys. So, excuse me, if, let's say, 343, or I'm sorry, not 343. Let's say one day you're just chilling at home, you get a knock on the door, you open the door, and wham bam, there he is, the man himself, Phil Spencer, is right at your front door, right? Hypothetically speaking, he's right at your front door. He politely asks if he can come in, and he comes in, and of course there's also there may or may not be a few bodyguards with him as well or whatever, but anyway, let's just say it's him, so probably, but anyway. And you sit down, you have a conversation, you ask him if he wants something to drink or eat or whatnot. You treat him like an honored guest at your house, and you basically have a discussion about Halo. And he says, "Listen, I want you to take charge of Halo Infinite. Everything you say goes. The only person that has a say over you is me. Not even Bonnie Ross herself, not Frank O'Connor. No matter who's on the dev team or whatnot. Nobody has the final say except for you. So anything you want goes. So you've got 365 days to turn this thing around. This is going to be your salary for your time put in. This is where you're going to be at, blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. Will you take it?" And let's say, of course, you say yes. The question that I have to you is, how would you change the way things are being run right now at 343 and Halo? As I mentioned a few minutes ago, what makes the development team is not the name of the team themselves. It's who runs it. So I think it's important to have people who know the franchise and know how to develop games for the franchise to be in this. And I would say getting a good amount of pro players who were featured in Halo 5's Sprint series, right? That went over the behind the scenes of making the entire game, which is proof that there's talent there. Granted, there's a whole bunch of people that are not there anymore, probably. I would say it's a very important aspect to have a pro team, and while calling in a whole bunch of others in rotation or whatnot to look at the game themselves, get their hands on it and all that kind of stuff, which is what they did in Halo 5, getting the pro team to really go hand in hand with the development process of, like, let's say the multiplayer is absolutely essential. Now, nobody knows Halo quite like the pros do, right? Nobody is quite as skilled at the game like the pros are. But that doesn't mean that they don't know Halo from a casual standpoint. A lot of the pros, especially the older ones, and those are the ones that I would personally call in as well, like the Ogre 2s, the Gandhis, the Walshies, those guys. Because those guys were there since the beginning of Halo's legendary status, right? How it all started from Halo CE and then Halo 2, and then after just Halo 2, things just blew up because of Xbox Live, and plus everything that Halo 2 had to offer in comparison to what was upgraded from Halo 1, etc., etc., etc. So I think having those guys and having their input is actually quite essential, because they understand that how Halo started before it became competitive, right? There's no doubt that if you put them 100% in charge in terms of the way the competitive maps are supposed to be designed with the weapons, what can be used, what can't be used, and such, things like that. But these guys also understand how Halo was before all of that took place. They know what got them into that, because they were casuals once too, right? So they had that kind of experience, and that's why it's specifically important to have the OG pro players, the ones that are not competing anymore, or even the ones that have been competing for a long time. But more importantly, the OG ones, like the Walshies and the Ogre 2, Ogre 1, those guys, Gandhi, you name it, T Squared. It's important to have those guys in as well, because they have been in it since Halo was just a party game before the competitive thing became a thing. So, and that should be the baseline of your game. And if you look at what Master Chief Collection is today and what has been over the last few years, because it obviously did not start out that way. It took years for the Master Chief Collection to basically flourish into what it is today. Master Chief Collection, when you look at it, it continues to thrive in terms of content and stuff like that. There's only a couple things I can say about the Master Chief Collection that I'm, one of the things that I kind of wish was in the game that should be, and at the same time, it's like right now they started adding cosmetic items to the store because obviously they want to make money off of that because it was all just previously just earnable through game, and now it's like there's a whole bunch of cosmetics added to the store. The last time I checked. Or the last time I saw a video or whatnot. So, again, when I'm not playing, I'm watching videos. So, what I'm thinking is two things. Number one, I would really like the customization in terms of what you can do with the controller, like how you can customize every button and everything like that in Halo Infinite. I would really like that to be a thing in the Master Chief Collection. I'm kind of surprised that it isn't. So, I would really like that. And, what other thing did I want? That was the one thing. And obviously, again, that's not in there, so that's one thing I kind of frown upon, or just be curious as to why it's not there. And number two, obviously, the store is whatever. I mean, I'm not going to buy anything from the store, so it doesn't really matter. It's like, fine, whatever. But when you look at what Master Chief Collection, the design of the entire Master Chief Collection compared to Halo Infinite, the Master Chief Collection absolutely thrives and does things that Halo Infinite does not do that we would like for it to do. There's been so many times where we're saying, hey, cut and paste this from Master Chief Collection, put that into Halo Infinite. That would make the game wildly successful in terms of that aspect. It really would, because, again, even when you look at the lobby itself, like the main screen, you look at the lobby, you see all the different player names that are loading in, match found, all that kind of stuff. You can be very specific as to what you're looking for. You can play Precision Slayer upon any Halo. You can choose which Halo you want. The queue is absolutely amazing. Do you want to play Free For All? Do you want to play Slayer? Do you want to play Griffball? Do you want to play... It's all right there. And that game's population is somewhere around the lines of Halo Infinite's population at this point, actually, because Halo Infinite's population has dropped. I'd probably say maybe slightly more than Halo Infinite. And why? Because the casual aspect of the game is there. The grind factor of the game is there. And I mean, like, the fun aspect of the grind is there, right? You can always unlock stuff. There's so much. There's like, what? I think there's also an XP progression system as well. There's like so many different ranks. It is just damn near limitless. I remember watching one of my favorite content creators, The Completionist. When he did the Master Chief Collection, he said that it was definitely like a grind. It was huge. And I applaud him for that. I mean, it's like, holy shit, this guy... that's what he does. He completes games. But the Master Chief Collection, to do everything there is to do in the Master Chief Collection is absolutely crazy. There's a lot. We're not just talking about achievements here. We're talking about in-game challenge. We're talking... I'll tell you what. Let me just put it to you this way. If you want to have the true quintessential Halo experience in 2022 today, play the Master Chief Collection. If you got Game Pass, you already have it. Install that shit, play it, and you'll see exactly what I mean. And it's not just the multiplayer. There's the campaign as well. They've also added in Halo 3 ODST with the amazing firefight experience. Halo Reach is there. Oh, just keep in mind that there's nothing wrong with Halo Reach's hit detection. It's the bloom from the DMR. So just pace your shots as opposed to spamming it as fast as you can. Unless you're playing competitive, but they kind of took that out, unfortunately. So just bear that in mind. And just because your reticle is getting big doesn't mean that your bullet is going to go at the center of the reticle, by the way. That's why people hate bloom. It's random. So you could be centered, no problem, like perfect center, and it won't hit your target at the center because that's how bloom works. And they took that out for competitive. They've reduced it in this game, which is great, but they should have just taken it out completely, in my humble opinion. But they wanted to keep it casual or whatnot. They always keep the casuals in mind, which is understandable. So just pace your shots. And just practice by firing at a wall. I just wanted to put that out there because I think some people, when they play Halo Reach for the first time, they're going to be like, the hit detection on this thing sucks. The bullets are not registering. I remember even Shroud, when Shroud played the Master Chief Collection, at one point he played Reach, and he's like, what is this? Is this not hit scan or something like that? And Halo is not completely hit scan. It depends on the weapons. But when you're talking about like the DMR, for instance, it's like 95% hit scan, if not more. So, but you just have to pace your shots. And that's what he wasn't doing with the DMR. He was just firing it as fast as he could, and he was missing shots. So he would hit the first couple, and then all of a sudden he was missing shots. So I just wanted to put that out there. There's nothing wrong with the hit detection in Halo Reach, as far as that goes. So, and yeah, bloom is something I will forever just... I never liked it, even when I was just like more casual than I am today because I am slightly competitive in comparison to what I was then, but I never liked it then. I don't like it now, but I understand it. So it is what it is. So I want to toss this off to you guys, and I know this video is longer than usual, and it's been a long commentary. But in tossing this to you guys, I'm actually really curious. How would you handle the Halo Infinite experience? It's a very long type of answer, and I think some of the answers in the comment section are definitely going to be lengthy for those that care that much about the franchise and that also care to comment at that point. But how would you handle the situation? And please, I want this to come from a place of, I know that there's passion among the community. I know that there's so many community members that have had enough and they've been patiently waiting for 343 and only to be disappointed and lied to time and time again. Completely understand. So if it's gotten to the point to where you're like, I would just clean house and start over and build from scratch no matter how many years it takes, hey, that's fine. That's your opinion. That's your thing. You know, write it down in the comment section. I want to know. And for those of you guys that would mix things up a little bit and just make a couple minor changes that would give the greatest results, please, by all means, let it be known down in the comment section. And obviously, when you get in there, remember this. Like, when you actually get in there and you're the boss, you're actually going to find out why things are the way they are. So, you know, the only thing that sucks is that none of us really know for sure. There's been a few videos that have been made on the subject, but none of us know 100% for sure. But all we know is that there's been a lot of development. There's been a development crisis going on that was very difficult to overcome, and many promises made that have been broken. And at the same time, there's also videos being made now that there are other games out there that are going to suffer a similar fate, and that it's not just Halo, and Halo just actually became the first in terms of these types of games. I hope this is not true, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't. But thankfully, there are games out there that are still being released that are following the traditional old school gaming philosophy, which is something that I believe always needs to be at the forefront. And what is that? Well, take a look at games like Elden Ring. Take a look at like the upcoming God of War, just to give you guys two really good examples. All the content in the game was released at launch. Whenever a game needed to be patched up, it would take a few weeks at the most, or to a month, until they got a certain patch update to actually fix a bug or a handful of bugs or something that wasn't working properly. But all the content was released in game. There were no microtransactions. It was all in the game, and you basically had to grind for it and find it, or whatever it is that the game had you to do in order to get it. And that was that. So, and obviously the game's released complete. Obviously we don't know about that with God of War yet, but Sony Santa Monica, knock on wood here, has not let us down yet, and I don't expect them to be honest. And at the same time, if there is one thing that I will give Nintendo and so far Sony credit for, is that they are allowing their developers for games like Breath of the Wild and for the upcoming God of War or whatever other game is coming out, they are giving the developers all the time they need in order to complete the game, so that when it releases as a complete game. And that is one of the things right now that that like Nintendo players can definitely say that they are definitely getting what they pay for. And I believe the same thing goes for Sony as well so far. There might be a couple things that I might be missing at this point, but for the most part, you guys know what I'm getting at. So again, I'm not a Sony fanboy, I'm not a Nintendo fanboy, I'm not an Xbox fanboy, I am a gaming fanboy. So I don't take sides. I try to see the positives and the negatives. Do I see positives and negatives on Microsoft? Yes. Do I see the same thing from Sony and Nintendo? Absolutely. So, but at the end of the day, this is what we were talking about today. So we're going on almost 25 minutes here. So I am going to leave it here. Probably going to have I'm probably going to have the 343 update video or something like that in the background. I haven't been playing much or recording much, and I don't want to use any other gameplay because we're talking about Halo. So we'll see what I post. But I would like to thank everybody for taking the time to listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and please let me know down in the comment section, for those of you guys especially for those of you guys that were stuck around long enough to listen to the majority or the entirety of this commentary. How would you handle things if you could? And if you're a content creator, by all means, if you want to make a video about it, I would love to see it, and you guys can link it down in the comment section for those of you guys that decide to make a video on this, because people's point of views and people's opinions are definitely very interesting, and from the developer standpoint and from the publisher standpoint, they need to be taken into context, because this is how you sell your game. It's basically like a customer giving you feedback on your product, and that is how you improve your product, which is great, because a lot of people out there in their businesses, even for the ones that are highly successful, are constantly thinking of ways of, okay, how do we make this better without, pissing people off or whatnot? How do we continue to improve, right? And we obviously don't want to fix what's not broken. So yeah, this is why feedback is something that is very very valued. So very curious, very interested into what you guys think. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for the support. I'll catch you guys on the next one.